First one on, mama. G Unit, what's up? Joe, what's good, baby? KAVAH.GREVES. I don't want to mess up your name, but welcome. Nah, my wife was first, man. Tyrone, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining in. Ian, what's going on, man? JJ, great job today, too, fam. Great job earlier, JJ. My man. My man. So, welcome everybody to the Positive Impact Podcast, where we talk about all things relevant to the topic that I love and to the game that I love, the game of basketball. Before we get started tonight, I want to take this time out right now to recognize a few people. John Bowe, Rodney Crockett, Franklin Davis, Ron Golson, Dwayne Goldston, Jerome Greer, Carlos Higgins, J.J. Harvey, Danilius King, Troy Miller, Jason Rowley, Roy Smith, Chris Williams, and Russ Williams. I want to thank you guys, man. I got this beautiful backdrop back here. Compliments to these guys believing in my vision and doing what I have to do, what I got to do. So I want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart. Without further ado, our guest tonight is former NBA player. I'm super excited about this. I know you are too. We're going to bring Smush Parker to the show. Smush,
Yo,
what's going on with you?
nothing much, man. What's up with you?
Not much, man. Appreciate you spending some time with us tonight, man. Really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, brother.
No problem, no problem. So like let's jump right into it. I don't want to waste no time. Let's talk about Smush Parker, how Smush Parker started out and got to this point. Take me back in the day.
Man, well, you got time for that? We got time for that?
Man, listen, man, we got a
Li-
good
li-
55 minutes, man. Break it down for me, man.
Listen, I was born with the basketball. My mom played the game, my dad played the game. So I was always surrounded by the beat of the ball. I was always surrounded by guys who played. I was always at the park. My dad played. He didn't play past the high school level, but he played here in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know anything about New York City hoops, basketball is life.
Right.
Like it's a part of every day. So my dad played almost every day. So I was at the basketball court every day, and the guys who played at the park became my uncles,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much.
Right.
So that's where it started for me. It started for me when I was a baby. I was born with the basketball. My dad taught me the fundamentals, and once I got the fundamentals, he allowed me to go out and just flourish and nurture my game in the streets of New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Before I learned how to dribble the ball between my legs, I knew how to protect the basketball with my right hand and my left hand. My
Right.
dad told me that um, The streets, again, like I said, the streets of New York, helped me hone my skills. I played 1 year high school basketball because I didn't take school and grades seriously,
Hmm.
but I took basketball seriously, and I knew that if I needed to go to the NBA, or I wanted to go to the NBA, but I told myself if that's where I want to go, I have to get good grades. So
Absolutely.
I turned it around before it was too late because this game of basketball almost slipped through my fingers. I
Mm.
got good grades, played 1 year high school basketball, went on to play junior college at CSI. Actually, you know what? Before I go to CSI, my high school number right here, my high school jersey is
No,
retired.
right.
Newtown High School, they retired my jersey last year. Shout out to Newtown High School.
Absolutely.
Coach C, what's up? I'm pretty sure he's logged on. If not, everybody at Newtown, what's up? I played at Newtown 1 season, went to junior college for 1 season at College of Southern Idaho,
Hmm.
played one year there. I transferred to Fordham, redshirted at Fordham my first year there, played 1 year at Fordham, declared myself for the draft, NBA draft, went undrafted, of course. Not of course, but unfortunately, I should say, went
Hmm.
undrafted. But I knew I was good enough to play in the NBA, and I wasn't gonna let that speed bump, stop me from getting to my ultimate goal. I worked my butt off that summer, earned my way onto the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's where, I met my,
Okay.
Ian.
Hmm.
Shout out to Ian
Yeah.
Cunningham.
Hmm.
I played a full season in Cleveland as a rookie. 15 games into the season, I became the starting point guard for Cleveland as a rookie.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that, I don't know if you want me to keep going.
Nah,
You
nah.
know,
So I want to let me stop you for a second. I don't like to
okay,
cut people off, but let me stop you. Let's go back before you got to Newtown High School. So
okay,
we talk about not taking your grades seriously or whatever, and I want to talk about your relationship with Rodney Parker, who
mm,
you know what I mean. So
mm,
I know how big that was for you, saying like
huge,
the school
huge.
that you went to, nah, it's too small for you, Smush. We need to get you to another one. You
Oh,
couldn't
you
play
know
your
that?
yeah. Listen, I do my homework, Smush. I do my
Okay,
homework. So we know you. So you couldn't play your junior year, but you got with Aim High. He got
yep,
you in ABCD. You know what I mean?
yes,
So
he
you
did.
had some exposure before you even got into your senior year.
Little exposure,
Yeah.
but the little. No, I'm just saying because a lot of
Yep.
people play AAU basketball from the age of 13.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No,
No
at
question.
13, I was still in the streets playing
Right.
real street ball. I
Yeah.
wasn't doing the N1 mixtape. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
playing. I wasn't one of those EBC, 150
Mm-hmm.
50, 155th Street hypes.
Yeah.
I was playing pickup games in the park.
Yeah.
That's real street ball. I was playing with men.
Yeah. With men.
Yeah. That's another thing that helped my game is because I was always playing against men when I was at such a young age,
Mm-hmm.
which helped me when I started playing against competition my own age. It
Mm-hmm.
was just it was too easy.
Right.
So that's what I try to help, with the kids that I talk to now is I always tell them to work out with guys bigger and stronger than you.
Mm-hmm.
Always play up so that when you get to, while you're playing in these, the 15 and under, 16 and under, 17 and under high school, whatever it is you're playing in, it just becomes easy.
Right.
But, let's get back to Rodney Parker. Rodney Parker discovered me when I was 16, I want to say 15, excuse me, 15 years old, playing at West 4th Street in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And since that day, he's the one that opened up New York City basketball to me. He at the time I was just playing at Tillery Park here in Brooklyn. I was playing at West 4th Street in Manhattan, and that's all I knew. But he took me to Harlem. He took me to Queens. He took me to the Bronx. It was like, listen, I got some guys who are good in this area in New York City, play against these guys. And I kill against those guys. He bring me to another court, another gym. I go and play. What's up? My cousin just signed on.
Okay.
Um, um, he'd take me to another park and another gym, and he'd be like, yo, play against these guys. I go there and just hoop. I didn't know who was in the gym. I just hoop
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I love to do.
Right.
And that's how he started, that's how Smush Parker started circulating around New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me on Aim High.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Kevin Jackson and Vincent Smith and
Yeah.
Kenny Smith
Mm-hmm.
played for Aim High. Um, and that almost didn't happen because let me tell you a quick little story about that. Rodney Parker had to beg Kevin Jackson to put me down on the team
Mm-hmm.
because they was going on a AAU trip on Friday. They already had their team. I tried out on a team on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Kevin Jackson saw me play against those guys, and I don't know what arrangements he made. I think he had to cut somebody, but he was like, "Yeah, there's no way we not bringing Smush on this trip."
Right.
And it was on since then. I played with Aim High one summer before I played AU basketball my summer before my senior year of high school. Rodney Parker got me into ABCD camp without me even playing high school basketball.
Right.
Like that's unheard of.
Right.
I never even played a game of high school basketball. Rodney Parker, pulled some strings and got me in, and I was able to play against the best, high school players in the world.
Right.
So Rodney Parker, he pretty much paved the way for Smush Parker to make it to the NBA.
Absolutely.
And like you said, he told me that Washington Irving at the time, I was going there for art. He told me that school was too small. I need to transfer to Newtown, which I did.
Yeah.
Transferred to Newtown, played there, killed there. He told me that, I need to get out of New York City, go to CSI for a year, play junior college. I went there. He told me I needed to go to Fordham. I went to Fordham, and it was on from there.
Absolutely. Now you did your thing, man, and to, not to only, like, some people can get deterred, like, okay, I'm coming out for the draft. I don't get drafted, you know what I mean? So damn, man, I'm gonna just go overseas. Nah, but you worked hard off and you got on with Cleveland. I mean, 66 games in your rookie year to go undrafted, that's good, and put up some numbers. Then after that year, I know you went over to Greece,
Yep.
got yourself a chip over there, and then you got back in the league with Phoenix and Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So you stayed busy with the basketball thing, but tell me the story about playing for Detroit, checking into the game,
Oh,
and then the fight with Indiana happens, the Malice in the Palace.
the
Talk about
Malice in the
that.
Palace, man, that was a crazy experience. But I wasn't. It was crazy to think about it, to think about what happened. But that's something that I wasn't unfamiliar with because I played a year in Greece, and if you know anything about Greek basketball, there's a fight at every game. Riot cops are actually at the games, and they need to separate fans from each other at every game. But that Malice in the Palace, I was playing on a great, Detroit Pistons team. They had just gotten finished winning the championship the season before.
Yeah.
So Chauncey Billups was the starting point guard. Lindsey Hunter was the backup. You had Rip Hamilton at the 2, Tayshaun Prince at the 3, Ben Wallace at the 4, and Rasheed Wallace at the 5. That was a great team. Then they had a great bench.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Coleman, Darwin Ham. So I wasn't getting much tip.
Right.
I wasn't getting much playing time behind those guys. And that was understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I was just soaking it all in. Those were, a lot of good veterans. I was just soaking the experience in, trying to learn from them. And I was just paying attention. I was a student to their games, and I picked up a lot watching Chauncey Billups.
Right.
And he's in my top 5. We're going to talk about that later. We're going to talk about that later. But I had, like you said, I just checked into the game late in the fourth quarter. I'm like, yo, I'm about to play. I'm playing time to sit on the bench, and then a fight broke out. And if you watch the game, if you watch the what happened, I'm there at half court holding basketball, looking like, man, I just got in the game, and now this happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all surreal. It was all surreal.
Oh, man. So after that, obviously you went to the Lakers in 2005. You know what I mean? And not only did you get to the Lakers in 2005, but you was their starting point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Now you playing for the great coach Phil Jackson, who was seen on The Last Dance now. So for you to come in and start, he had to see something. He had to see something in you, and you started 162 straight games, average double figures for the Lakers. Talk about that time playing for such a great coach. Obviously, we'll get into the Kobe thing, you know what I mean? But just talk about your time there and what you experienced when you got there.
Listen, I grew up watching Phil Jackson coaching the great Chicago Bulls and the great Michael Jordan. Did I just say Michael Jackson? Michael Jordan.
He was great too, though.
Yeah, he was good. He was great. But to play for Phil Jackson, listen, I don't have no words. Like I'm still stuck as to I played for one of the if the most decorated head coach in NBA history. He's got 13 championship rings,
Mm-hmm.
6 with the Chicago Bulls, 5 with the Lakers, and 2 as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an awesome experience. I got a chance to learn a lot, just by being a starting point guard under Phil Jackson, who coached Michael Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
who coached Scottie Pippen, who coached the
Mm-hmm.
Chicago Bulls to 6 championship rings, the Lakers to 5. So it was a great experience. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
So it was documented you didn't get along with players and, whatever, like you clashed with players and coaches and stuff like that. On here, like, what I mean, like I like for people to tell their side. Like, I've read stories, I read whatever's printing. But if I don't know you,
Hmm.
then I can't get your side. So give me your side to that. Like, is it like, yeah, I didn't get along, or like, nah, I really wasn't like that?
Um, it's strange because I heard that a lot throughout my basketball journey. I'm not gonna say my basketball professional career, my basketball journey. And I was just a quiet kid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hang out. I wasn't into, what, a lot of these other kids or these other athletes were into. Being out in the street, you know, hanging out in a corner, drinking, smoking, whatever. Um, I just wasn't into that, and I was, very to myself. And if we had a lot of time, I would tell you, growing up, I was just 100% strictly about basketball. Um, it was basketball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for me. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I did. When everybody else might have been playing video games or hanging out, I was at the basketball court. I remember nights, many nights, for years where they used to lock me in a park. You remember New York City parks departments? They used to lock the park up at dusk or dawn or
Mm-hmm.
whenever they
Mm-hmm.
locked it up. They used to lock me in a park,
Yeah.
and I'd be in the park playing by myself at nighttime, shooting, doing drills, until 3 o'clock in the morning. And for me to get home, I had to climb over the fence to get home.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And when I say that's what I did every day, that's what I did every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have been socially disconnected from my teammates,
Mm-hmm.
and that to other people would seem like I didn't get along, but
Mm-hmm.
I was all about basketball, and I took my craft seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I had an end game that I wanted to get to, and I got there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I eventually got there by the blessings of God, but I actually, was putting in the time and the effort and the work.
Right. Nah, no question about it. So how did the thing come about with like, I Smush ain't want to pass Kobe the ball? That's what I mean? Like, where did that come from? Like, does
I
that come
said
from
that.
like, yeah, so it's like, yo, listen, like, I ain't gonna give you
No,
the ball,
no, 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 no. See, that was taken out of context. So I did an interview back in 2008 after my 2 years as a Laker.
Okay.
With Booby Smooth out at West 4th Street,
Mm-hmm.
and the interview went viral. But on there, I said, um, at my second season in LA, I just stopped passing Kobe the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what? Let me rewind. Phil Jackson, in the beginning of all this, the both seasons I was there, was like, listen, Kobe is going to get his shots. He's telling the team, everybody this.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe is going to get his shot. Stop trying to force Kobe the ball when the teams are, geared to defend or deny Kobe from getting the ball. That's how we were getting a lot of our turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
So Phil Jackson was adamant about, guys like me, Lamar Odom, Luke Walton, who were playing with him at the time, to not force the issue
Mm-hmm.
because the defenses were geared or shifted to deny him the ball.
Right.
So with that said, it's not like I wasn't looking his way or trying to get him the ball, but if I look your way and you're not open on an issue like the pump fake, like I'm trying to get you open, I'm not going to sit there and try to force it to you. I'm going to go the other way.
Right.
And that's what the triangle offense was all about.
Mm-hmm.
Ball movement. You're not supposed to hold a ball for more than 2 seconds. If you
Right.
ain't got a shot, it's not a playmaking offense. You're not
Right.
gonna put it on the ground and make something happen. It's about ball movement.
Hmm.
So what I was doing was I'd get the ball, I look Kobe's way. If he wasn't open on my initial look, I wasn't forcing it to him.
Hmm.
I stopped forcing it to him. So I
Right.
started to go the other way. So
Right.
that's what happened.
Right. So it wasn't just like forget this cat, yo. I ain't passing the
Mm,
ball ever. You know what I mean?
nah,
And I think obviously when it was written, that's how it's
yeah,
written. And like I said, if somebody doesn't know you or won't come to you and say, hey, listen, like, what did you mean or whatever, then you don't get that side of it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So after you leave the Lakers in 2007, you go to Miami. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Don't have quite the same success in Miami that you did in LA. It is what it is. And then you got picked up by the Clippers the rest of 2008 when you got waived
Yeah,
by Miami in the end of the year. And
yeah.
so, you know, when you go from kind of like a high, like, an established, like I'm starting in the NBA for damn near for 2 straight years, you feel like you've proven yourself, and then you go to somewhere else and it's not working out the same. Talk about going from that high to that decline.
You know what? A lot of people don't know, and I very rarely ever speak on it. But what
Mhm.
happened in Miami? I'll tell you exactly what happened in Miami. Everybody knows I had two, decent years with LA. I got a 2-year deal with Miami. Um, but here's what everybody don't know. I was a free agent after LA.
Mhm.
I came home to New York, and in that summer, Pro Am, Pro City was they were
Mhm.
playing at Hunter College. That's
Yep.
that's the time they was playing at Hunter College. I
Mhm.
was playing in that league, and I broke a bone in my foot.
Mhm.
That's that summer as a
Okay.
free agent.
Mhm.
So as a free agent, you're not allowed to be hurt or show that you have any kind of weakness. So I told teams that it was just a high ankle sprain.
Right.
I didn't tell anybody it was a broken foot. Mind you, I had a broken foot. I couldn't work out for 2 months. In that 2 months, I wasn't working out, and I gained 40 pounds.
Mhm.
I gained 40 pounds, and I went to Miami. I went to Miami to sign my contract or to get a contract, and they put me through a physical, and I barely got through the physical because I had a broken foot.
Right.
So I signed a contract. When I got to Miami, I was 40 pounds overweight.
Mhm.
So I wasn't in any kind of game shape. So I was already starting unfortunately off the back in ground zero. So
Right.
that's why, things for me in Miami, started off rocky, never really took off
Mhm.
because unfortunately I broke a bone in my foot and I couldn't. But it was unfortunate because like you said, I had a starting position in LA. I had playing for Phil Jackson, playing in the backcourt, starting in the backcourt, not just playing, not coming up, starting for LA, starting with one of the best players in NBA history to go from the Lakers to my situation in Miami, and it wasn't that anything that Miami did to me. It was I knew my circumstances. I knew why it was happening to me
Mhm.
because it
Right.
was the broken foot. It wasn't because I couldn't play
Mhm.
basketball, but
Mhm.
it still sucked that I was in that situation.
Absolutely. No question about it. I could definitely understand that. So after after you got done with the Clippers in '08, you went back overseas. How long did you play overseas before you stopped playing?
I played overseas for 11 years after I left the NBA. And you know what? To go back to the question you asked before,
Hmm.
I felt like I had already established myself in the NBA, because of my 2 seasons in LA and the seasons before. And to go from the Lakers to Miami in that situation, being out of the NBA, in the NBA, not really in the NBA, not really out of the NBA, was kind of like, you know what? I'm tired of doing this rat race. The
Hmm.
business of basketball is definitely taking its toll on, my psyche. And I decided to leave the NBA and not fight to stay there. I decided to go overseas.
Hmm.
So it was my choice to,
Right.
to travel the world travel the world at the same time playing a game of basketball that I love, and I don't regret it at all. I played overseas for 11 years. I won a championship in Greece. I won two back-to-back championships in China, and I played in places that I never even knew was on the map or on the
Right.
globe.
Right. Nah, that's definitely a good look. So let's go to 2012.
Mhm.
Kobe makes a statement
Mhm.
saying that, you know what, we let Smush Parker walk on the team. He was only here because we got him for cheap.
Mhm.
When you heard that, now again, I tell a lot of people all the time, and people know it. I think a lot of us would kill to be the last person on the bench in the NBA. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
know I would. You started 2 years straight,
Mm.
average double figures. You can't possibly be, I can't possibly be the worst in the league when there's dudes that play my position that don't even get off the bench. I'm starting next to you. So tell me how that hit. You know what I mean? When you hear that, like with the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it.
Uh, I had mixed emotions about it because I knew where it was stemming from. I knew it wasn't the truth. But unfortunately, with Kobe's platform, he has a lot more juice and a lot more power. With his voice and when he said that, a lot of his fans, started to believe that I was the worst point guard in the NBA. And my response to that was, check the numbers. Numbers lie. No, I mean, numbers don't lie. People lie, numbers don't. You know that line Jay-Z said. You know, people lie, numbers don't. But where it stemmed from, I'm a man. I think I'm a man of. I would like to be a man of integrity. I started the trash talk. I was a young man who went to the media when I wasn't supposed to. Oh, I went to the media in 2008 and I said everything, all the problems and issues in LA started and ended with Kobe. And
Mm-hmm.
of course that went viral and he got wind of that and it hurt his feelings. I'm sure it did. And it hurt his pride and his ego. And so I couldn't be mad at him. It was unfortunate that it happened, but I couldn't be mad at him. He was just retaliating.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I just kind of shrug it off because I started it. I should have known better. There's rules to the game. What goes on in the locker room stays in the locker room. And the NBA guys in the NBA is like making a fraternity.
Right.
What goes on in the family stays in the family. You never go outside of the family and expound on some of the issues that you're having. And that's exactly what I did. So that's why I took um, the time out about 3 years ago to send Kobe an apology. For some of the things I said against him because I realized that outside of him, feeling the way he was feeling or speaking out on me, I know I was in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologize for my actions because I was a young man that, did, said certain things that shouldn't have been said in the media.
Mm-hmm. Nah, no question. I think that's big. So talk about that letter. You know, you sent the letter out there along with a request for a picture and a basketball to be signed for your pastor.
Yes, sir.
And so while maybe you didn't get a response of a letter back, you did get the picture and the basketball signed, which means okay, he had to have seen, had to have seen the letter. So obviously, tragedy happened this year, and now you never really get the opportunity to
Man,
clear that air ever. Like, you know what I'm
man.
saying? As looking back on it in retro and like, yeah, I was just a hothead, and now you don't get that chance to do that.
Yeah.
So does it hurt a little bit more because now like you'll never really have closure to it, or talk
I
about
mean,
that?
it definitely does bother me that I'll never have a chance to, really experience what it would be like for us to, cross paths again, to see if we could actually hash things out. That's something that I wish happened, um, but unfortunately, it will never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was definitely a tragic day, tragic times that we're in. Uh, basketball without Kobe. Well, how old was he? 41, 42 when he passed.
Oh my
Like,
God, yeah, young man, just
I
I'm
mean,
st- it
who
still ain't real to me.
who would have thought that in 2020 Kobe would have gotten into a helicopter crash? And it was very unfortunate that it happened, and it shook me to the core. And I'm surprised by it, but it definitely shook me to the core. And I feel for his family. I pray for his family. Um, but yeah, to go back to the request, my pastor, Pastor Straker, is a long-time Laker fan. Way back to the Magic days. He's Kobe's number one fan here in New York City, and he never stops talking about him. And I wanted to do something special for Christmas, so I wrote Kobe. Of course, I took the time out to write Kobe this letter of apology. At the same time, making a request for my pastor. And Kobe, signed a basketball, signed a picture, sent it back, which I'm grateful for. I never got a actual response to the letter, but I'm not gonna speak out against the deceased negatively. I mean, he was my brother. We played in the backcourt together for 2 years, and it's unfortunate that he's not here.
Right. Nah, no question about that. So we on here with Smush Parker right now, former NBA player. If you guys got any questions, put them in the question box. So one thing what's the biggest thing that you learned from Phil Jackson?
Oh man, it's been so the biggest thing that I learned from Phil Jackson, it sticks with me. He used to say his saying was "Carpe diem." You know what "Carpe diem" means?
Mm-mm.
It means to seize the moment.
Okay.
Recognize what's going on. Whether it's the fourth quarter and there's 2 minutes left. Understand time and clock. Understand what's going on. What the other team is about to run. Who they're about to run this play through. Carpe diem. Seize the moment. Take the time out to take this moment in time and make it special for you. Carpe diem.
Okay. And now you left Fordham early.
Hmm.
Are you going to return there to get your degree? Did you get your degree?
I
Is that
didn't
in
get
the
my.
works for you?
I would like to do that for my dad one day.
Okay. Nah, that's cool. I've talked to Guy Sham got on here and he went back to Providence and got his, and I just
Sure.
had Terrence Renshaw on here the other night. He went back to Texas. I think that's a lot of us, once we leave the game of basketball, we usually give back by talking to kids and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
it's important. That's the first thing we tell them, how important education is. You know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah.
And so it's always good that we do that full circle. So I'm definitely rooting for you. To go back and get that piece of paper. I think you'll feel fulfilled, and obviously, you do it for your dad, and you'll feel even more fulfilled.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I see you got the hat on. I see you got the sweatshirt on. We got to talk about the Smush Parker Elite clothing line. Talk about it. Where'd the idea come from? How long has this been manifested in you?
All right. So one, I just want to say it's not really a clothing line.
Okay.
I never had a mindset to do clothes or hats or anything. Like this is all new. With the times that we're living in with social media, everything is about branding.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about exposure and marketing. And a part of me giving back to the community, I felt like I needed a bat signal. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed a symbol that everybody recognized.
Right.
So that's why, you see that's me up there.
Yeah.
That's the logo right there.
Yeah.
That's the silhouette. That's the silhouette. It's me.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the silhouette of me dunking on Boris Diaw, by the way, 6'8" Boris Diaw. I had to throw that in there. I took the silhouette of me dunking and made it into a logo just to bring awareness to some of the things that I'm doing in the community. I don't. I need help pretty much. I need
Mm-hmm.
sponsorship. I need people donations. I need people who are gonna give or be able to give to contribute to my actions to me giving back. I host free basketball camps and clinics for the kids in inner city communities. Who don't have the resources to make it to an NBA game or make it to or to attend a high profile athletes basketball camp. So I make it free for them, and this is me giving back. This is me taking the knowledge and experience that I've gathered over my 17-year basketball career and giving it back into the youth.
Absolutely. Nah, I love this. I love the sound of that, and and I know about, donations and for things that I do and
Hmm.
that I'm trying to accomplish with kids too. So you do a lot of talking to the kids with the PAL and everything like that.
Hmm.
What's your biggest message to kids now?
My biggest message is listen. If I think I need to write a book, because my story is no different than what their story could be. I came from the streets. I didn't have, everything growing up. I didn't have all the resources growing up. I didn't, I wasn't, flossing. I wasn't, going to, the NBA games. I never even met an NBA player,
Right.
so for me, I walk these same streets that they walk every day. And my message to them is if you have to have dreams, because a lot of these kids don't have dreams. A lot of these kids, can't see past their present circumstances.
Right.
And I try and I want to inspire them to have dreams, to think outside of, what they see every day in their neighborhoods, to have dreams, to believe in them dreams, because without them believing in those dreams, how are their dreams are going to be fulfilled? So one of the
Mm,
messages I leave them with is, you got to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, it, nothing's going to happen for you.
mm,
That's what I believe. I can make it to the NBA no matter what happened to me, no matter me getting undrafted. I believe I can make it to the NBA.
mm,
No matter me playing only 1 year high school basketball, I knew I was good enough to play college basketball. Once I got to college, I only played 1 year college basketball. I knew I was good enough to play in the NBA, and I had that belief. You have to have belief in yourself. That's what I talked to him about, and I also talked to him about two things about obedience and sacrifice. And I touch on sacrifice. A lot of these kids, they love playing video games.
mm,
Love playing video games.
mm,
I sacrifice playing video games to be in a video game.
mm,
And I sacrificed staying at home and playing. At the time it was Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers. We had double dribble, we had elevator action and all that. I
mm,
sacrificed doing those things because I was outside on the court practicing my skills. I was in the
mm,
gym, 4 or 5 hours practicing on my jump shot. So
right.
I talked to them about sacrificing that time to actually put it in the work to so they can achieve their dreams. And
Yeah.
obedience. I taught it's important because listen, this game of basketball almost slipped through my fingers because I wasn't obedient to my teachers.
Mm,
You got to be obedient to your teachers and get good grades. One, you got to be obedient to your teachers so you stay eligible to play basketball. Two, you got to be obedient to your parents because without them, how are you going to get to AAU practice? How are you going to get to these basketball games? So you have to be obedient to your teachers, your parents, and your coaches. That's the biggest. A lot of these kids are getting into argument with your coaches, and I'm like, yo, they hold the keys to your future.
right.
How are you gonna be exposed to college coaches or high school coaches or AU coaches if you're beefing with your coach and he's not playing you and you're
Right.
riding the bench? How you gonna get seen? So if your coach says, listen, run 15 laps, run 15 laps. And that was my mindset. I was gonna do whatever it was gonna take for me to get to the NBA. And if my coach, I don't care if my coach is wrong. I don't care if I felt like I was right. If he was like, yo, run these 8 suicides, I was running 8 suicides as fast as I could
Mm,
so that I stayed on the court. At the end, the kids lose sight of the end game.
right. Got a little technical difficulty. Wait for Smush to get right back on. All right. We
Yeah,
was talking
yeah,
about the end game.
yeah.
The
The
end
end
game.
game, like kids lose sight of the end game. You know that if their dream is to make it to the NBA, stop worrying about the little stuff that's going on now with this coach at the high school level,
Right.
because he's look at him as a pawn in your game of chess. Don't allow your pawn to ruin the game of chess for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, use him, use your AU platform to play basketball to be seen by the next level.
Right.
That was my mindset. I'm gonna play at this level no matter what this coach says to me. This is my exposure. This is how I'm being seen. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes to stay on that basketball court so the next level sees what I can do.
Absolutely. Nah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about how you, when you came up in basketball. Think about all the players that you played against just in New York City.
Mm,
So we always say that, we're from New York, and depending on, the era that we grew up in, like New York City is the mecca of basketball. You
yes,
know what I
sir.
mean? I think over the years, high school wise, they've kind of lost that a little bit because I feel like the better players in New York City are now leaving the city to go
Yeah,
play in prep schools or whatever, where back in the day, everybody just played at their high school or they went to a Catholic school or whatever.
yeah.
Why do you feel like kids are leaving New York City to go play basketball elsewhere instead of playing in what we feel like is the mecca of basketball?
It could be a number of things. The first thing that comes to my mind is the business of basketball has trickled down from the NBA all the way down to junior high school. It's a business now, and it's unfortunate that the game of basketball here in America is no longer a game of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, and let me expound on that, kids are leaving New York City because, you know, people are using, there are people who are being paid to send players to these programs. So the business of basketball behind the game of basketball is, you know what? I got this kid from New York. He's nice. You know what? These public schools ain't paying. So you know what? I'm gonna send my kid to, outside prep school because I know that this prep school is gonna put a few dollars in my pocket.
Right. Nah, that makes a lot of sense. And then you talked about sharpening your skills against older guys.
Mm,
So when we came up, older men were our trainers. We didn't go to a
yes.
gym with cones and what I mean? Like, no, you go to a park, and if you were lucky to get on the court, that's where you kind of learned it, like you said. And then once you start scoring against older guys, it became easier when you played against kids your
Li-
own age.
Listen, listen. We come from an era of basketball where basketball was a sport and basketball was fun, and we love to do it. Kids nowadays do it for the gram.
Mm-hmm.
Kids do it. Kids nowadays do it for likes. Kids
Mm-hmm.
nowadays they do it for fame. When we played basketball, it was our culture. Basketball was a part of our culture, so we weren't in the gym, setting up cute little cones and like or chairs. It was like we're doing 15 moves at a cone, and we have somebody filming it. No, we were actually, you know what? I love to play the game. I'm gonna go outside because I know there's good pickup going on at this park at 5. We used to say that. Look, there's gonna be good pickup at this park at 5 a.m. or
Mm-hmm.
5 p.m. But at this park at 2:30, there's better run over here. So I'm gonna go to this park, play over here for 2 hours, and then travel to this park and go play for another 2 hours. That was our mindset. Now kids wanna, set up cones and do all these 15 moves, staying in one spot, dribble between the legs, have somebody filming it, post it on their Instagram, and hope, and now they got a million followers. Now
Right.
they're Insta famous. You
Right.
know, so I played against men. They molded my game. They made me stronger. They taught me toughness. They they taught me moves, how to handle myself in 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 game like situations. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing like there's no substitute for game like situations. Making moves in the game as opposed to making moves at a cone. Cones don't
Mm-hmm.
play defense. Cones don't call audibles and knock you off balance.
Mm-hmm.
Cones aren't sliding.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't about that life.
Right. And I also think playing at the park also not only did it help your game, but I'm sure it gave you wisdom off the court because the OGs were like talking to you while they was busting your ass on the court. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then this is what you got to do. And so there was a lot of life lessons in the parks back in the day as well. You know what I mean?
Real life lessons. Like, as a shorty, if you popping off at the mouth, somebody about to check you. I don't want to go. I don't want to go into that, but those are real life lessons. A lot of these kids, they pop off at the mouth. There's nobody like really putting them in their place because
Mm-hmm.
everything is done via social media. When you pop off at an OG is
Right.
now you learn. You know what? I can't do that. Let me just let my game do the talking.
Right. So now, after you left college at Southern Idaho, you said, Roddy said, you got to go to Fordham. Were there any other colleges recruiting you out of there?
Well, you know what? I said that, but Rodney didn't say I needed to go to Fordham.
Uh,
Rodney brought up the idea of me going to Fordham
okay.
because um, Phil Jackson, um,
Bob
Coach
Hill.
Bob Hill, who coached in the NBA for 15 years, was coaching at Fordham.
Okay.
So for me, my end game again, here comes the end game. My end game was to make it to the NBA. Who better to prepare me for the NBA besides an ex NBA coach?
Right.
So that's why I decided to go to Fordham. If
Okay.
there was any other coach, there, I might have second guessed going to Fordham because Fordham is not a real, basketball powerhouse,
Mhm.
and it's in the Bronx. I'm sorry, it's in the Bronx. You're not from the Bronx, are you?
Now I'm from Long Island.
Okay, all right, all
Yeah,
right, all
I'm from Long
right.
Island, so no disrespect here.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah,
No,
nah,
but
no disrespect.
no, Rodney definitely helped out a lot. I was being recruited heavy straight out of high school, but I didn't have the grades. That's why I went to junior college.
Mhm.
So I don't exactly remember if there were any colleges that were. No, actually, you know what? I do remember. There was no colleges recruiting me out of CSI or College of Southern Idaho because I wasn't geared to leave the year that I left.
Okay.
CSI was a 2-year school. I decided to leave after my first year, and I did
Okay.
that because Bob Hill was at Florida.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. So before we wrap up, let me hit you with some quick hitters.
Mm.
Who was the first guy when you
Mm.
got to the NBA to bust your ass? Where you was like, yo,
Mm. Jason Kidd.
hmm,
That's that's yo. I don't and it's not about like he didn't bust my ass. We have a different terminology as far as busting ass. Like he didn't bust my ass, but he was just such a great point guard that it was man. The offense flowed he was so intertwined with his players, his
mm-hmm.
offense. He did whatever he wanted out there, and he
Right,
was also a big guard.
right,
6'5", big
right,
body. I remember Jason Kidd. I put it that
right.
way.
So it wasn't like it's not always about yo, he gave me 40, like what I'm
Yeah,
saying, but I couldn't stop him from doing what he wanted to do either. Like what I'm saying.
exactly, exactly,
Gotcha. Nah,
exactly.
no problem.
No,
Best teammate. I'm sorry,
best
go ahead.
teammate. No, no, no. Go
Now
ahead.
go ahead and finish what you want to say.
No, I was going to say, you know, 40 points or getting 15 and 12 assists and 10 rebounds. That's just as valuable as 40 assists. In my eyes, if I get 10 assists, I got 20 points.
Right. That
And
makes
a
sense.
lot of people don't think like that. I'm a pass first guard,
Mhm.
and you wouldn't know that by me playing in LA. But the triangle offense was a different animal. That was a system offense with no true point guard. So I was
Mhm.
forced to be a shooter. I adapted to be a shooter. But
Mhm.
I'm a pass first, shoot second guard. I'm a playmaker. I like to playmate. So
Mhm.
when the point guards I'm gonna give you. they weren't like the greatest scorers, but they were assist men. They were pass guards. Jason
Mhm.
Kidd, he wasn't a high volume shooter. He wasn't out there to get 20 points a game, but his assists, he
Yeah.
averaged what, 12 assists?
Hmm.
12 assists a game at one point?
Right.
12
That was it.
assists and 12 assists and 12 points, that's 40 points to me.
Mhm.
Or
Right.
30, excuse me. I don't My math is off. 30.
Nah, that's good. So yeah, so best teammate.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Lamar Odom.
Lamar Odom. Okay.
I'm gonna go with Lamar
Okay.
Odom.
Okay. Is playing in that pro-am your free agent year, is that the biggest regret of your basketball career?
No, no. Because again, I played in pro-am every day of my life.
Mhm.
Every summer, I should say, every summer of my life. Never been injured. It was just a a freak accident that happened. I stepped on somebody's foot, and my foot rolled the wrong way. Happened to break a bone in my foot. It's not something I regret because New York City, without those tournaments, I wouldn't be the Smush Parker that I am. And it was those tournaments that was keeping me in shape. It's keeping my skills, sharp and, in game ready shape. So I don't really regret anything. I mean, it's very unfortunate that that happened, but
Mhm.
everything happens for a reason. Everything is a part of God's plan, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, regardless of what took place in the past or didn't
Mhm.
take place in the past. I'm exactly in this spot right now, talking to you, where God wants me to be, and I'm content with that.
I like that. Very powerful answer. First purchase when you signed after you signed your NBA contract.
I went out and bought a bunch of sneakers. I went to Champs.
Champs.
I
Okay.
went to
Okay.
Champs. I went to Champs.
Okay. Bought a whole bunch of sneakers. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so, my last question:
Yes, sir.
Smush Parker's top five point guards of all time.
Uh,
You don't have to rank them. You can just give me your five.
all right. So the first one on that list is my dad.
Okay.
No, no, y'all don't know him, but he's a hero to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best player, to ever teach me the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know what? It's funny because when I was younger, I used to hate that he passed so much, but he
Okay.
he loved to pass. Like he loved to get assists. Like he thought he was Magic Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, Next on my list is Jason Kidd.
Okay.
Next on my list is Chauncey Billups,
Okay.
the Detroit Pistons, Chauncey Billups.
Okay.
Big shot Billups.
Yeah. Okay. That's the big
Uh,
set.
Now, would you put Steph Curry in the point guard spot?
I'll put him at a point guard.
All right,
I'm gonna put him there.
I'm a Steph Curry fan.
Okay. Steph Curry. All right.
I'm
You
a
got
Steph
one
Curry
more.
fan. I have honorable mentions, but Dame Lillard is an honorable mention for me. Um, who would my fifth point guard be? Ah, Rod Strickland.
Ooh.
Rod
Okay.
Strickland. I grew up a Rod Strickland fan because my dad was a Rod Strickland fan. So, I just watched, how he operated. And listen, he was a bad man.
Nah, he was.
He, he
He
was he
was.
was he was all New York. You know what? You know what's funny to me? Now that I think back, he was all New York City at the NBA level, like
Right.
doing like all of that. You know that attitude, like that
He was
that
He
that
was Kyrie
swag,
before Kyrie.
that swag.
Yeah.
That I recognize that swag, and he was
Yeah.
that swag, New York City swag in the NBA.
Absolutely. Nah, no question about it. No question about it. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming up on here, like I said, man, and having the opportunity to, share with your story, clear a lot of things up, like I said, that I've read and other people who are on here, I'm sure that maybe they didn't know, and I appreciate that. And I'm gonna hit you up, man. I need a 3X in that Smush Parker Elite gear.
I
All
got
right.
you, man. Whenever, man. And whenever you want to bring me back on, man, I'm more than glad to, man.
I appreciate you so much, man. And we'll
Thank
talk
you.
soon, man. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Ian.